First off, congratulations once again, postseason bound, Coach. I know that that has to be exciting to get back to the playoffs, especially with all the players you lost last year. So I know you still have more work to do, but how good did it feel when your team knew that you had clinched that postseason spot?
Yeah, it was a good feeling, Sean. Certainly, when you lose what we lost a year ago, and we had some capable players coming back, but to get back to the postseason and have the season that we did, I feel that we overachieved in many areas this year. And one of our goals was to win the section. We fell a little bit short of that, and but we got to the postseason, so that's all you can ask for. But thank you so much.
And so I know when I talked to you before the season, you basically said we want to reload, not rebuild. And that's, I think, in large part because last year sort of set the bar in terms of a winning culture. Did you feel, was there a little bit of a different aura surrounding the program this season?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just, we as a program sat and talked at the beginning of the season, and we did talk about that. And I know it's cliche, but we did feel that we had a younger team, but a team that was capable, a team that had some experience coming back from the year before. So I think what our concern was where were we able to come together at the right time and have that chemistry. And, pitching was a key this year. And, we did have, a kid like Ryan Hood who, stood out for us, but we needed more than that to get there, and our guys really stepped up and did that. And, we won some close games. We lost some close games. I mean, it could have went either way, but the bottom line is I think the key to this season was very similar to last season, is that the kids accepted their roles, every one of them, whether it be a senior not playing, but having to be a runner or something like that. Very similar to what we had last year. Some of the younger guys stepping up and getting a lot of playing time and producing chemistry. And chemistry is a big part of any sport, of any team. And that's what, that's what kind of put us over the top this year to get here.
And so you go 6-4 in the section. And at least from my perspective, it was one of the more unpredictable sections. I don't think many people penciled East Allegheny as potentially a section winner. We knew Deer Lakes was going to be a good team. So in terms of how maybe the section prepared you for postseason baseball, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're a pretty good section overall. I mean, there's a lot of parity in our section. There was some outstanding pitching. You talked about East Allegheny. They have two very, good pitchers that can go a long way in the postseason. In Nate Holmes and Michael Cahill. They were both, quality high school pitchers that can take you far. So that certainly prepares you. You look at Deer Lakes, Brannigan and Danka. Those two, pitching in our section was pretty good this year. Mount Pleasant stepped up. They had a freshman, I believe his last name is Drozel, that really opened up some eyes. So from a section perspective, I think our section was good. I really do, and I think that prepared us and has prepared us to get into the postseason and to feel comfortable. I looked at our section and I looked, at the seeds and things like that. And I'm not going to bellyache about it, but our section, did not get what I feel was as much respect as I thought. But that's a good thing because, you can kind of use that as motivation for your teams, but we'll see what happens, how it all plays out. You got to go play the game, and that's the way it is.
And you talk about maybe the somewhat of a lack of respect for the section as a whole. Your team in particular gets the number 10 seed. So was that what you anticipated going in?
I mean, yeah, look, I've between being a player at Derry and being a coach at Derry, one former coach years ago, he's not with us anymore, but he was a fantastic coach, but he always used to joke and say that I don't think the WPIAL knows where Derry is, from a geographical standpoint. And that's okay. Look, last year we were section champs. We got the 5 seed. It is what it is. Again, I'm not going to complain about it. Did I think maybe we deserved a higher seed? Did the kids think that? Absolutely. I thought, being a 6-4 section finisher and looking at the tiebreakers and see how that finishes in your section, we really were the number 2 team coming out of our section when you look at tiebreakers, but they don't look at that. The committee doesn't look at that when they form their opinions. They look at maybe exhibition schedules. We didn't play the strongest of exhibition schedules. I understand that. But the bottom line is we're in the playoffs, and our kids know that. And even though they were a little bit disappointed when the pairings came out, the bottom line is you got to play the game anyway. And they changed their mind very quickly, after we had a discussion. Disappointed, maybe a little, that maybe I thought we should have been the 7 seed. Maybe they be the 10 seed, but surprised? Absolutely not.
And maybe there is a little bit of a silver lining because, one, from the coach's perspective, you probably don't have to do as much preparation for your first round opponent because it's the same team that you played last year in New Brighton. So as you mentioned, the Lions this year are the better seed between the two. But how much can you take from last year's matchup and apply that maybe to this year?
I mean, I think the fact that we played them, you can do that, but they're a year older. Their entire team, with the exception of a couple of players, back this year. I know they'll probably throw Bobby Budacki at us. Great kid, outstanding kid. I mean, I don't know him personally to like I do a player on my team, but we did meet last year, and I did tell him after the game, I'll never forget this, that he had a heck of a year and he's going to have a heck of a future. I never anticipated that the following year would be playing against them again. But hey, look, I told our guys, I said, they have the majority of their kids coming back from a year ago. They're going to be ready for us. They want, revenge or however you want to look at it, but they have another shot. We beat them 10-0 last year. And then in another way, a lot of the kids on our squad played in that game. So it's interesting. You always kind of want to play different people and things like that. But when I saw New Brighton, I kind of thought when I looked at the, pairings and kind of how they would go, that we would have a shot. They were on my list of 4 that we would probably play. And well-coached team, a lot of talent, and they play in a solid section as well. So I'm looking forward to that challenge again and seeing those guys again.
And so earlier you talked about Ryan Hood, and I think everyone thought that's going to be the guy for your pitching staff if all things go according to plan. But really, Nate Papuga at times looked like maybe he could be your best pitcher. So with the exception of maybe some very rare teams that are prohibitive favorites and they're looking at multiple rounds, every team has to do what it takes to get to the next round for the most part in the baseball playoffs. How do you approach it from a pitching staff standpoint, knowing you could play 2 games in 3 days?
You got to win the first one to get to the second one. I mean, I've always approached it that way. From the time I was a head coach at Derry, in past years when I was an assistant, we would have that conversation. You really have to win today before you get to tomorrow. And I know it's, if you're a 1 versus 16, or whatever the case may be, your mindset may be a little bit different with the type of team you have. But Ryan Hood's going to pitch for us. He's going to start for us. He's our number 1. We're going to go at, New Brighton in that first round. And when we get to the second round, we'll rely on some of the guys like Nate Papuga and guys that got us there. Over the years, I've seen a lot of things happen at the high school level in baseball. And we'll take our chances. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question, because, some coaches have differing opinions. But for me, you're not going to get to round 2 if you don't win round 1.
I know anytime you get deep into the season, especially postseason, you need some veterans, you need some leaders. And in addition to Hood, who's, by the way, also really outstanding as a hitter for your team, there's some other guys that you mentioned heading into the season that sort of took on that leadership. How has that evolved? Where does it stand in terms of the guys that you're going to be leaning upon once you head into that playoff game?
I think that's a big part of it because, as the year progressed, the guys who I anticipated would step up, the seniors such as Braden Mickenack and Nick Thomas and Jake Watson, those guys did in a big way. Noah Simmerman as well. I don't want to leave him out. They were able to take some of the younger guys under their wing. And, late in the season, I started seeing some of the younger guys when games were really tight and they mattered. Some of the younger guys tightened up at times, and that's part of being young and learning. And those guys were there to step up for them. So I couldn't be happier with where we're at there. And again, I go back to the chemistry of our team. Those guys believe in each other. We've kind of had a Jekyll and Hyde end of our season, and I'm hoping the high side is yet to come because there were games when we play a complete game. We're very tough to beat against any team. I'll say that. forward. But if we struggle defensively, and I don't care if Ryan's pitching or whomever, we struggle defensively, we're not going to win games. And I always talk about the little things. And I said in the playoffs, it's magnified. You have to make the routine plays look routine. You have to throw strikes. You can't walk people, and you have to come through with key hits. And we did that in game 1 last year. And it was just a wonderfully executed game plan in game 1. And then we went into the second round against McGuffey. We pitched well, we played good defense, but we couldn't come through with the timely hitting. So you need all those in the playoffs. And, just to answer your question, I think the leadership has at least stepped up, and we're going to go give it a shot and see what happens.
Well, John, thank you so much for doing this. Congratulations on getting back to the postseason, and hopefully we'll get a couple more victories out of the Trojans from here on out.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Absolutely. John Flickinger, head coach of Derry area baseball.